She totaled my car and somehow I was the one who had to apologize. 5 years later, she turned up at my door smiling like none of it ever happened. I hadn't thought about that car in years. It was an old sedan, nothing luxurious, but I'd put real work into it. New paint, tuned engine, the kind of quiet pride you feel when you've built something yourself. Back then, I lived at home with my dad, my stepmother Linda, and her daughter Tara, my stepsister. Tara was lightning trapped in a glass jar, restless, reckless, and convinced the world owed her a better hand. My dad adored her. Linda defended her. I just stayed out of her way. Then one Saturday, Tara borrowed my car. Borrowed was the word she used, but the keys had been on my desk, not offered. By nightfall, a police officer called me about the accident. Trees, guardrail, airbags. She'd walked away without a scratch. The car hadn't. I showed up at the tow lot the next morning, spoke to the officer, and drove home in a haze. Dad met me at the kitchen table with that disappointed father face he kept in storage. "You shouldn't have left the keys where she could take them," he said. Linda added that Tara had been distraught after a breakup. I wanted to shout, but I didn't. The insurance wanted my cooperation, and my father wanted quiet. Within 2 weeks, the repairs exceeded my coverage, and I drained savings meant for a new apartment. Tara cried, apologized once, then told everyone I was making a big deal out of a car. I remember sitting in my room with the repair invoices spread out like evidence in a courtroom that only I attended. That's when I started keeping copies of the claim, the bills, the texts. I didn't say much, but I started saving everything. After that, I moved out, switched jobs, and eventually stopped calling home except on holidays. Every conversation dissolved into, "You should forgive her, Evan." 5 years passed quietly, until one Thursday evening, my phone buzzed with a name I hadn't seen in forever. Tara. "Hey, long time. Can we catch up?" I've grown up a lot. I almost ignored it. Curiosity won. We agreed to meet at a coffee shop the next day. She arrived on time, bright smile, loud perfume, same sense of entitlement wearing new lipstick. We talked small things for a minute before she leaned in. "I'd love your help with something big," she said. "I'm trying to get a new car loan but need a cosigner." I stared at her. "You don't start an apology with a request," I said. She blinked like she hadn't heard me. "I mean, that old thing was 5 years ago. We both messed up." "No," I said, calm. "One of us drove into a tree." Her lips tightened. She changed topics fast, asked about my job, said Dad thought I'd loosened up. I paid for my coffee and left. That night, I told my friend Maya about it over the phone. Maya had lived through my car saga back then. She laughed softly. "You still have the insurance docs?" "I think so. Why?" "Just keep them handy," she said. "Something tells me this isn't over." She was right. 2 days later, Dad called, voice saturated with parental diplomacy. "She says you were rude at the cafe," he began. "She's really trying, son. Maybe help her get back on her feet?" "She's asking me to co-sign for a car," I said. A pause. "That's family helping family. I already helped once, remember?" He sighed. "It was an accident, Evan. She's your sister." "Step," I corrected. Then added, "I'll talk when I'm ready." That weekend, I pulled the old folder from my office cabinet. The papers had yellowed slightly. Claim number, assessment, the line item where the insurance marked driver fault as borrower, non-owner. I also found a copy of the notice from the repair shop showing $3,400 unpaid under my name, dated months after I'd cleared my part. The signature next to responsible party was Tara's. I scanned it all, backed it up in cloud storage, and went back to my life. 2 weeks later, Linda texted, "Dinner Sunday at ours. Please come." It would mean a lot. I knew the setup, but I went anyway. The dining table looked just as it had years ago. Tara was already there, passing salad bowls as if nothing had happened. Dad smiled awkwardly. "Good to have the family together." Tara leaned back. "So, I've got my license sorted, and I'm working on getting my new ride. Maybe Evan can help with the paperwork?" Every eye turned to me. I laid my napkin down and said evenly, "Before we go back to loans, I want to clear one old debt." She frowned. "We already did that." "No, we didn't." I pulled a folded copy of the repair invoice from my coat pocket. Her signature, the due amount, the collection docket. Her face drained. Dad's hand froze halfway to his glass. "I'm not asking for sides," I said quietly. "Just memory." The rest of dinner limped along. She excused herself early. Linda tried to smooth things over with pie. I declined. On the drive home, my phone buzzed with a new message. "You're being cruel." "I was a kid." "Let it go," she wrote. Then another. "You ruined family dinner again." I didn't reply. Instead, I saved the threads, dated and archived. Days later, a long email arrived from her account. Flowery opening, then paragraphs about redemption and forgiving debts. Halfway through, she shifted tone. "Since Dad knows what really happened, I think you should help me clean up the credit situation you caused back then," she wrote. Attached was some half-filled application clearly expecting my signature. I exhaled slowly and drafted my response. "Tara, for clarity, you borrowed the car without permission, wrecked it, and left unpaid debts in my name. All records remain intact and verified by the insurer. I will not engage further. Evan." I copied Dad. I attached the scanned documents. That was the midpoint, the first moment the power finally tilted. A few days passed. Then came the smear attempt. My cousin texted to ask why Tara was telling people I was obsessed with proving her wrong. I didn't defend myself. I just sent him a photo of the insurance header with her signature. That ended that thread without fireworks. Maya called to check in. "She's desperate," she said. "Probably needs the loan approval fast." "I'll stay factual," I said. Facts survive longer than sympathy. The next escalation was in person. One rainy Friday evening, I heard a knock on my apartment door. Tara stood there, coat soaked, eyes bright with false determination. "You made Dad cry," she said. "Did I?" I opened the door wider. "You want to come in and talk or keep yelling in the hall?" She marched in, dropped her bag. "I made mistakes. But you're punishing me forever. It's time to move on." "I did move on," I said. I pulled the envelope from my desk, the copies printed neatly. "These are the claim records, invoices, text logs, everything we're still talking about." She crossed her arms. "You really kept all that?" "Yes, because honesty costs less than another car." For the first time since I'd met her that week, she didn't have a comeback. She left without another word. That night, I sat by the window, watching city lights blur through the rain. I felt calmer than I had in a long time. There was no vindication, just quiet. A week later, Dad called again. He sounded tired. "She told me she asked for your help with a car loan," he said. "Is that true?" "It is." "And you refused." "I did." Silence pressed the line. Finally, he said, "I looked through the old paperwork you sent. I didn't know the bill ever went to collections." "You weren't supposed to," I said. "You handled it behind my back, right?" He sighed. The admission was soft but unmistakable. "I paid part of it off for her and told her we'd all move on. I thought time would heal it." "Time doesn't heal what's still open." He asked quietly, "What do you want from me?" "Nothing," I said. "Just no more pressure." 2 days later, Maya forwarded an ad showing a repossession auction list. A familiar make and model sat there under Tara's name. No more loan talk, no more messages. Months passed in peace. I turned 35 that spring. My savings finally covered a down payment on a small condo across town. When I packed, I found the dented license plate from that wrecked car, still tucked in an old drawer. I cleaned it off, donating it to a local community college's auto class. The instructor said they could use real crash samples for training. It felt like the right ending for that medal. Dad and I now talk by phone once a month. His tone is softer, cautious but genuine. Linda sometimes chimes in, keeping conversation to weather and cooking. Tara hasn't called since that night at my apartment. I don't expect she will. Every so often, I drive past a used car lot and wonder what would have happened if I'd yelled louder, demanded fairness right away. But I realize I ended up with something stronger than revenge: clarity. Some debts get cleared in paperwork, others in silence.